theory, all the conditions required for a sort of a theoretical defeat of United Russia, of Putin's party that has governed Russia for the last 20 years, are there. The party is suffering in the polls. Opposition, including the Communist Party, that's the reborn Communist Party, are sort of surging in the polls correspondingly. And yet I don't think anyone really suggests that anything other than a sort of a re-elected United Russia, probably with a very large majority, is the likely outcome. Of course, this is Russia. It's not certainly a democracy in the classical sense of the word, but elections have a sort of a role, and Russians are invited every few years to express their views of the ruling party. However, I think that sort of one way or another, it's extremely likely, and I think most analysts would agree, that what we'll see is another Duma, that's the Russian National Parliament, dominated by United Russia. That will be achieved by hook or by crook, of course. There are generally sort of allegations of falsification, of voter fraud at certain levels, even if it's not really a national picture. And we're also likely to see things like, voters in the state sector being compelled one way or another to cast ballots. But I think generally the emotion here, the general sort of reaction to the polls has been one of apathy. People are not talking about the election. People are not excited to vote. And that really is sort of, it helps, and it is a product of the Kremlin. The Kremlin has been quite eager to sort of introduce this kind of apathy into society to make sure that it can turn its loyalist voters out. That's, of course, a very shrinking pool these days, while also perhaps not particularly giving opposition voters or opposition-minded voters a reason to turn out. So I think there is very little likelihood of any sort of breakthrough on the part of Russia's kind of democratic opposition. Certainly the Navalny movement is largely taken out of contention now, having been banned and sort of declared extremist. We might see the communists, as I said, making some kind of a breakthrough, but I think this is generally an election that's been kept under very sort of close control and very close surveillance by the Kremlin so far.